for everybody out there, and there's a couple of them. Is Rich in here today?
Yes.
Rich has been getting on my case about oil. All right, over and over in oil, and every week I make you type in the word that I want you to know before you buy oil. What makes oil go up? And Joey will repeat it back to me when you type it in the room. What makes oil go up? Who's the first person that types it in? Let me see. The first person, what makes oil go up? And hold on. While that's happening, nobody put it in?
Mark Norton.
Mark Norton. All right, so Mark says demand. Demand is it. And I understand why crude went up the way it did. And I can be the side chair quarterback, or I could be the Monday night quarterback, however you want to look at it. But I've been putting it out there since when oil started taking off and we had all that supply. People were buying oil because it was so low. Now what's happening is gone up, and guess what? They're taking, now if they didn't take profits, if they didn't take profits early, they're still sitting there and they're going, holy smokes, what just happened? The demand is not there. My next story says Brent crude will need to work through oversupply. Oversupply ain't demand. It needs to work through oversupply issues despite the OPEC output cut. All right? The oil producing companies or countries said that they were going to cut back so they could stabilize oil prices. Well, some of them did and some of them didn't. The demand is not there yet, and I'm still putting it out there. If you're looking to get into oil, wait for confirmation. Now, if you're a little bit more aggressive, did Rich say anything in the room at all? No, he's being quiet, isn't he? No, he's probably going to just jump up and say something, but that's all right because I like Rich. All right, but everybody invests a little different. If you were a little bit more aggressive, you did have an opportunity to buy in the oil. If you were looking for more opportunity or more confirmation before pulling the trigger, it's not there yet. Now, do I think that oil is going to stay where it is forever? No. Long term, do I think that oil is going to be a good play? Absolutely. Why? Because we need oil. We need oil, so it's going to run up. It's always a right time to be in a stock, and sometimes there's a bad time to be in a stock. So tell you what we're going to do. So that's on my Brent, on my crude oil. Let's go back to my watch list for today. You know, the main ticker symbol that I look at for oil is the USO. All right, not the military USO, but the U.S. Oil Fund ETF. All right, because it's an ETF, price and value will always be the same. The fundamental indicators on oil on the ETF will always be the same at the value of 1. But this is the big thing. What is the RT on that ETF? It is at 0.48. Oil is still not in an uptrend yet.
Jay says your cup is ugly.
My cup is ugly. Which cup? You talking about my black cup? My Duke cup. You talking about my... Listen, Jay, where's Tom? Tom, take Jay, put him in the back. As a matter of fact, stick him outside. All right? Because this is what I got to say to you, Jay. All right. So Clay can't hear these sounds, but you guys can. So there you go. Looking at talk about my cup. You don't talk about my cup. All right. USO. The U.S. Oil Fund ETF. RT is below 1. Oil is still in a downtrend right now. Clayton, do you want to add anything to that before I go further?
No, I don't think I need to add too much to that, but talking about supply and demand and oversupply, and like you mentioned, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, with a possible resurgence of the coronavirus, and I agree with you. I don't think that this country is going to see another lockdown like it did before, and I think people are over that, but I don't think that original demand for oil is going to return anytime soon. So that article said, we have to work through that oversupply and then figure out that equilibrium where supply and demand have that beautiful relationship again, and then we'll finally be able to see, what we need to see for this RT in USO to go back above 1 and oil to start trending higher.
We need to get through the supply, folks. We need to get through the supply. Let me pull up a graph on USO. View the stock graph. There it is. There it is. Whoop. There it is. There we go. You can't. I'm mad because Clayton can't hear the sounds. All right, but you know what happened right here with oil? That's exactly what happened with oil. And then my good friends like Rich was saying, yeah, it's a good time to buy oil. Well, why? Because oil had hit like historically low lows. Look at that. That's 5-year graph. That's a 10-year graph. Historically low lows. So who was jumping on board? The people who were saying, man, we need to get into oil because you're never going to get a deal like this again. And you know something? You're right. Now, I do see that the USO is above the 20-day exponential moving average. What's not backing it up? RT. That's only an indicator you'll find in the VectorVest software. RT is not telling me. Now, it did jump above the value of 1 for a quick hot second, or right at 1. What is it at? RT is at 0.64. What is that value? Oh, never mind. That ain't 1. We're so far below 1 that ain't 1. That's far. That down. That's so far down. There we go. I'm going to drop the bomb again. You dropped the bomb on me, baby. All right. And with that being said, I need RT to get above 1. I really do, to give me confirmation. But it had its run for a little bit, and the primary reason why is because oil was so low. Now, I'm going to close out of that. I got a watch list for oil. You know something? You ever hear that? I wrote a song for that. Well, guess what? I got a watch list for everything that we talk about. Let's go with petroleum stocks. In this petroleum stocks watch list, I have 64 stocks. The big thing, I went through the industries, all of the industries for petroleum, and I put them all into one watch list. But I wanted to make sure that all of the stocks had a price of at least $1. And if I scroll over, I wanted an average volume of at least 100,000 shares. Now, some of these average volumes dropped a little bit. So I've got to go through and retool this for some of the average volumes. And if these stocks have been beaten up so much that some of the average volumes have gotten beaten up, I'll probably go back through the list and take out the ones that don't have any longer an average volume of at least 100,000. This is another list. If you're really strong on oil, sort this list by percent price change. Let's go see which ones are moving up the most. Nothing. Oil is getting that beat up that right now, as of today, in and of itself, I wouldn't be in oil. Notice that a lot of these oil stocks have a relative safety below 1. All right, look at that. Look at that. Only 1, and that's a direct Sean. That's on Gush. It's got a value at 1. But every single one of these stocks within the petroleum industry having a relative safety below 1. Why are there RTs above 1? Because a lot of people were buying into them as oil had bottomed out. And so the RTs are up there. Not a lot of relative values. If you are looking for oil stocks to look in for the long term, sort the list by relative value. WOPI. You down with WOPI, Dopey? I don't know. Anyway, WOPI looks like a good long-term play that's going up right now, but the safety is not there. OMP. You down with OMP?
Yeah, you know me.
All right, Joey said, yeah, you know me. All right, so there are some stocks that are in the list that are good long-term plays. The safeties are not there. Some of the RTs are not there, but this is a good way. If you are looking to play some oil stocks, a good way to look at them. Anything you got to add to that, Clayton?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, when RT hits a low like it did on oil, you know, when you have negative oil prices on futures, everybody wants to get into it. I mean, that's a trade right there. When prices are so low, I mean, if I've got my dad calling me up and saying, hey, should I buy oil? Guy's never made a trade in his life, but he knows that oil prices are so low that he could potentially make some money on it. So that right there is just going to cause an explosion, and that's why you're going to see RTs above 1 when value, safety, that kind of stuff is still low.
Let me ask you this question. If there's a brand new person in the room who's looking at some of these stocks and saying, well, the RT is above 1, the stock is a buy recommendation, what would you say to them?
You know, I wouldn't say don't make the trade.
Okay.
The first thing I would say is, you know, it depends on if I know the person or not. If I don't know the person and they've never checked themselves, as an investor, if they've never said, I'm okay with holding riskier trades, or I'm okay with holding more speculative trades, then, if that's not something they've done before, all they're going to do, they're going to sit up at night, they're going to worry, they're going to buy into the stock, and they're going to say, oh my gosh, I just bought into this thing, but it just went down another 10% today. This isn't something that I can stomach. So with with no safety, with no relative value, but the RT is trending higher and the stock's price is trending higher, that's a riskier trade and a more speculative trade. But if they can handle that, if they can stomach it, and that's the type of investor they are, as long as they're aware of that, I'm good.
Let me tell you something. That's truth right there. And that's why when Clayton goes out and starts to do his presentations, that's why you want to send your kids to him. That's why you want to send your grandkids to him, because that kind of insight takes the brand new investor and puts them on the right path to start making money from the beginning. Because a lot of brand new investors go blindly into what they see and what they hear, and then they blow up their accounts quick, and they don't know why. This is why Clayton is going to be a very important part of this team to help the brand new investor. And that insight that he gave him right there, that information that he just gave you right there is it in a nutshell. And that's why he just gave his own credibility of why you need to go watch him. All right.
Thank you, Glenn.
For all you guys that are out there, if you haven't already, remember, subscribe to this channel. I want VV Nation to support Clayton in his adventure as well, because as you can tell, he knows what he's talking about. And I want to make sure that you guys support him. Just like you support me, I want you guys to support him as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the page. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Now, if you're new to the software or would like refresher information about the software, click on this Getting Started video right here. Thanks to all of your input, here's a YouTube video that we think would be perfect for you. Click right here. If nothing else, folks, just hit the subscribe button right here.